Because uncertainty is why we need leaders. If there was certainty, we would just need people to manage the certainty. It's uncertainty that makes the gift of leadership and the gift that God's given you as a leader and the calling of leadership, it's what makes it necessary. Let me just read a few things I put in my notes. This is why leadership is necessary. It's why God has called you to lead. The temptation is to think, if I were a good leader, I would know exactly what to do. I won't ask you to raise your hand, but you've thought that. You've sat in your office going, are you sitting with your staff, or you're about to have a staff meeting, and you're thinking, you know what? If I were a really good leader, I would know what to do. That's not right. Every leader is where they are leading because no one knows what to do, in most cases, even the leader. That uncertainty is what makes leadership necessary. It's why you're where you are. It's why God has given you a leadership gift, because he wants you to move people into uncertainty. And the problem isn't that you're not a good leader. The problem is uncertainty, and it's never going to go away, which means that's job security for all of you who have the gift of leadership, because there will always be uncertainty and there will always be the need for leaders. So I want you to repeat after me. I will always be uncertain. I'm certain of it. One more time, I will always be uncertain. And I'm certain of it. In fact, you can go back to your churches next Sunday or get your board together, your elders together, your deacons, and you say, I want to make you a promise. I promise, as long as I work here, I will always be uncertain. You can hold me to that. That's never, ever going to go away. Uncertainty underscores the need for leadership. Uncertainty is the arena in which good leaders are most easily identified. In fact, some of you are in the leadership positions you were in because the person ahead of you couldn't manage the uncertainty, and you were sitting in a meeting and said, I got an idea, and you were the only one with an idea. And they went, you're in charge. And that's how you became the leader, because you had an idea. You had a general idea of how to move through the uncertainty in your community or in your church or in your ministry, and nobody else did. And they said, we'll follow you. Because when a man or a woman steps out into uncertainty and says, I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to pray hard and I'm going to lead hard and we're going to figure this out, people follow that kind of leader. Now, let me just say this real quick. This should not be hard for us as Christian leaders, because the context for everything we believe theologically and the context for everything we believe about Jesus and God and the Bible and the whole story was written within the context of extraordinary uncertainty, wasn't it? I mean, just think about your favorite Bible story. Think about your favorite Bible character. I already know something about that story. There was an element of uncertainty, and somebody led into the uncertainty, and they prayed hard, and God honored their efforts, and God showed up, and they were somewhat of a hero, male or female. But your favorite Bible story is a story of uncertainty. We as Christians should thrive in this uncertain time. We should thrive with the economic chaos. We should thrive with the uncertainty all around us, because this is what we were born to. This is our story. The scriptures that we get up and teach every single week are scriptures that were written in, or narratives that happened within the context of uncertainty. This shouldn't scare us a bit. We should be up for the challenge. This is our story. Let me think about this. At the epicenter of our message is an evening when Jesus, our Savior, is betrayed, arrested, denied, tried, imprisoned, and beaten, and eventually crucified. Talk about uncertainty. And if we were in the midst of that and didn't know the end of the story, we would say, God, what are you doing? He would say, I'm redeeming the world. Be quiet. In other words, at the time of the greatest uncertainty in the life of our Savior, the time of greatest uncertainty was God's greatest activity. That God leverages more out of uncertainty and gets more done in times of uncertainty than any other times. You know that for your own life. Come on, you don't grow spiritually when everything's perfect, do you? You don't grow spiritually when it's another wrinkle-free day in the neighborhood and everybody came to church and everybody did what they were supposed to do and the sound system worked and the offering was big and you go home and hug your wife or your husband and you're just so happy you haven't learned a thing. You're happy, but you haven't learned anything. When do you learn? If you were to come up and tell us your story of the greatest lesson God taught you, you're going to talk about your greatest challenge. You're going to talk about a time of extraordinary uncertainty, and God showed up in the middle of it. Uncertainty, we should thrive as Christian leaders in uncertainty. This is our story. This is our context. This is where God does his greatest work. And the other reason we should thrive is because we believe that history is linear, don't we? We don't believe round and round and round you go and you show up as somebody else and nobody knows. We don't believe that. We believe that history is going somewhere. We believe that when things happen, they happen for a purpose. We believe God is in control. We believe God is in charge. We believe God uses even the worst things for good. And all of us who are in teaching or preaching ministry have stood up at a funeral or stood up in front of our congregation and says, God uses everything. God works everything out for his glory. We believe that. We believe that history is linear, which means the uncertainty you're facing in your church, the uncertainty you're facing in your family, the uncertainty you're facing in your community, this is going somewhere. This is going to lead to something. And we don't need to back down as leaders. This is the environment, this is the context in which we should thrive. Because uncertainty is never, ever, ever going away. But God seems to get maximum mileage out of uncertain times if the men and women he's gifted and called will step into the gap and say, you know what? I don't have all the answers. I don't know how things are going to turn out, but here we go. Follow me. Those are the leaders that God uses in an extraordinary way, which means in your lifetime and in my lifetime, this might be the greatest opportunity for spiritual leadership that we ever have if we can figure out what to do with the uncertainty. Now, what I that's inspiring, and let's sing a song, go home, I'm all part of. But I want to go a little bit deeper tonight. I want to talk about what I've learned in terms of how to respond to uncertainty. And there's probably 10 things that you could do, but I just want to talk about 2 of them. I want to challenge you to write these down. The 2 things that I've sort of learned to embrace in times of uncertainty, and this is true personally as well as ministry, if you want to write this down, is clarity and flexibility. Clarity and flexibility, those are the 2 words. Clarity, flexibility. Clarity, flexibility. As leaders, we can afford to be uncertain. We cannot afford to be unclear. We can afford to be uncertain. It's okay to say, I don't know. But we can't be unclear. And in times of extraordinary uncertainty, whether it's economic or in your church or in your building program or in your community or in your family or whatever it might be, in times of extraordinary uncertainty, this is the time as leaders when we need to be extraordinarily clear. In other words, this is the time that you back into the calling that God put on your life, and you back into and you take refuge behind the vision that God's given you for what he's called you to do. This is the time when you clear the decks and you say, wait, okay, there's confusion everywhere, the money's not coming in, or the students didn't show up, but wait. What has God called us to do? Now listen to me. Clarity around vision clears the fog of uncertainty for the people who follow us every single time. What my favorite example of this in the Bible is that transition, that really messy kind of weird transition between Joshua and Moses. You remember this? Now Moses, he spent most of his leadership wandering. He was like a professional wanderer. If you wanted to learn how to lead in the context of wandering, Moses would teach you, and he'd sit in his class and he'd say, let me talk about wandering. Here's how it goes. And one of his students was Joshua, and one day Joshua was going to take over, and Joshua pretty much had a PhD in wandering after 40 years of wandering. He knew all about wandering, You get up in the morning, you roll up your tent, you watch for that pillar of fire to turn to a cloud, and when that cloud starts moving, you follow. Then what? Well, that's pretty much it. You just follow that cloud all day long. Now, when that cloud stops, you stop. They're all writing it down, stop. And then the clouds are going to have a pillar of fire, and then you put out your tent, and then God's going to feed you, and you don't only eat on 6 days, collect 6 days, And so for 40 years, Joshua, he knows all about wandering, right? That's what Moses taught him. The problem was when Moses died and Joshua was in charge, God said, now we're not going to wander anymore. Now you're going to go to battle. You're going to go across the Jordan River, which, by the way, is a river, like there's water in it, and you're going to lead the people into the promised land. Joshua was thinking, okay, I've never done that. Now, if we're going to wander, I am ready to wander. I've been trained to wander. I've followed a professional wanderer. I understand that. About going to battle, warring, I have no experience in that. And God says, well, you're in charge. And so the morning that they're supposed to move intentionally across the Jordan River. Here's what Joshua said. I love this. He says, so Joshua, I think we're going to put this up on the screen for you. Yeah. So Joshua ordered the officers of the people, and here's what he told them. He said, I want you to go through the camp and tell the people, get your supplies ready. 3 days from now, you will cross the Jordan here to go in and take possession of the land the Lord your God is giving you for your own. Yeah, I see that hand in the back. Okay, there's water in the Jordan River. That's why it's a river. How are we getting across? I don't know. Just pack. Yes, you in the back. Okay, I've heard there's Like they're like giants. What are we gonna do about the giants? I don't know. Just pack. In 3 days, we're gonna march in a single file line for the Jordan River. Is God gonna like the birds out of the air? Are we still doing that thing? I don't know. I want you to pack, because in 3 days, we're gonna march, and we're gonna go across the Jordan River and take the land. Yeah, okay, this is my last question. Okay, when you say take the land, what? I don't know. I don't know, but let me be clear. In 3 days, be packed. We're marching across the Jordan River to take the land. This is all I know, but we're going to do all I know with extraordinary efficiency, and when we get to the other side, we'll figure out what it is we're supposed to do next. That is the challenge of leadership, because listen, there are always how questions and where questions and why questions, and people can how and where and why you to death. But in leadership, when there's uncertainty, clarity trumps all of that. It trumps it every single time. You say, I don't know. Here's what I do know. Pack. In 3 days, we're crossing the Jordan River. Are there any questions about that? No? Well, then go pack. And the rest, now come on, you know this if you've been in leadership for very long, the rest we will figure out as we go along. I'm just telling you, in the times of uncertainty, people want clarity. And you will find clarity as a leader when you go back to the roots and ask yourself this question: what did God call me to do in the first place? What did God call me to do in the first place? About a year into our journey as a church, we met every other year for 3.5 years in rented facilities. Any rented facility people here, you're renting facilities. Yeah, isn't that fun? Tear up, sit down. You can't even raise your hand because you you don't want to raise anything, okay? Because, pack up and move, okay? And we're meeting about 30 miles. Oh, actually, it's more than that. 30 miles. We weren't even in the same county that we wanted to start the church. We're in Cobb County. We wanted to put a church in Fulton County. So we're, 3.5 years, and it's just hard, okay? We would set up all day long on Sundays, and we'd have a night service, 2 night services, and then tear down. And our volunteers, I don't know why they even speak to us anymore. We just wore them out. Many of you are in the middle of that right now. Very, very difficult. And about 2/3 of the way in, we started with this many people, and we had bad church growth. We were going like this way, okay? And core families, people that, I loved and known a long time, were disappearing. They were just disappearing. And I'd get a phone call, or usually I'd run into them at the mall. I didn't even know they'd gone. They're like, I'm sorry, Andy, it's hard to go to the church. And I'm like, I know. Sandra told me if you weren't the pastor, we wouldn't go to this church, okay? It's every other Sunday night. The Olympics came to town. We had no place to meet for 9 weeks, no offerings for 9 weeks. That was fun. So it was just, you're there. It was just hard. It was not fun anymore. And I would keep hearing about these families that were leaving. And I would get mad at them. Because they would say this, and if you've heard this is like the worst. They'd say, now, Andy, when you get things going, we'll come back. I'm like, when we get things going, we don't need you to come back. We need you there now is when we need you. When we get things going, things will be going. See, they'll be going. We need you to help us get things. So, that was like a comfort to me, like, oh, that'll be great. So let me get this straight. We're going to tear down and set up, tear down, set up, tear down, set up, tear down. We're going to kill ourselves, and then we're going to get a piece of land and build a nice building, and then you'll come back. That's great. I love that kind of commitment. So anyway, but I'm not bitter. So I would get mad. I would just get mad, and then I would just, and this is the thought I think God put in my mind to get me through that. The question was, Andy, would you have started this if they had never been a part of it? Yeah. Well, then you're going to be okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. And would you have done this if they had never come along? Would you have done this if they had never given any money? In other words, the question is, Andy, what are you called to do? Well, I want to create a church that unchurched people love to attend. Well, that's what you retreat to. Because all this other stuff it just clouds the vision. It just makes things even more uncertain. We're going to talk about that in a minute. That the question you have to ask in times of uncertainty is this: what has God called me to do? What are we doing? What has God called me to do? What is it He's called us to do, locally? What has He called us to do as a church? You retreat back to that initial calling and that initial vision, and you dig in deep, and you say, in spite of the uncertainty, this is what God has called us to do. We're going to continue to do this, whether people join us or not, whether they give or not, whether it works out or not. And you go back to that initial calling, and you just say as clear as you possibly can to your people, this is what we're doing.